All right, so welcome back. I am going to be talking about Harry Potter. Been doing a lot more shifting around in the video. I'm gonna shift the focus all over the place. See if the camera keeps up. I mean, it's a camera on the computer. Maybe I'm asking too much of it. Um, but yeah, I'm talking about the Harry Potter franchise. It's up on HBO. I'm sure people have seen it. People have talked about it, but I'm gonna say my piece because I've got a forum to say it, and you've got to listen to me. Well, actually, you don't. You can turn off the video, but don't stick around. I've got some things to say. Why not? So let's get started. To start, I've read some of the books. I'm gonna be honest now. I've read some of the books. I read up to the fifth book, uh, as the movies were coming out, and then I read the other books after the movies came out. So I read books 6 and 7 after the movies came out, and I'll say this: I get that you have to leave some stuff out in order to create a film. Films are only like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Sometimes maybe closer to three, but that's like not super common. And for a kids movie, which is falls into that realm. Once you get into the later like past Chamber of Secrets, I guess like Goblet of Fire ish forward, it's still technically a kids movie. It's a children's book series, but it gets way darker. So anything before book three is a little bit more you know they are definitely missing some topics, and I know other people have spoken about this on YouTube, but they're definitely missing some topics about the society of wizards and how they feel as their hierarchy and slavery and all those undertones that happen in the books, and Hermione's thing with that, with like the house elves and all that. There's a lot of topics that they kind of miss. There's also magical artifacts and items that are left out of the movies. I would say probably for time, just because there's so much packed into those books. But there are some things left out. What I will say to start is that the first movie, right, is visually not I won't say not the greatest, but it's visually not meant to be the most stunning as far as films are concerned. I mean, they did the best they could with technology available, but I think what the movie did was open up the concept that instead of it being what a lot of films were, that were like a full series and all that, where there was a ton of action, there was a ton of fighting that took place throughout the series. Instead, what you had was it was character development, and just real heavy character development, and a lot of talking. So a lot of talking, very similar to episodes 1, 2, and 3 for Star Wars, but instead it was actually like really engaged. It wasn't like political talking, which again I think is why they might have taken out some of the things, because it was character development. You got to know the characters. There was already a following. People were reading the books. They went out. They saw the movie. Global thing, became a theme park. That whole thing. Okay. I will say if you only watched the first film, right, and you just watched what they were trying to accomplish, how people were acting in the film, if you suspend your disbelief for a bit and just imagine that magic's real, all of that, it's a really like it's a solid film. Like it holds up as like a Saturday, you want to watch a movie and you put it on in the background and you can like cook breakfast, all that stuff. Kids can watch it and stuff. It's great. It's a nice well-rounded film. Now, if you think about it in the sense of the series and like everything that it encapsulates, you start to realize as it progresses forward that I don't want to say the subtlety of the first film is lost, because that feels like an oversimplification. I mean, I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, there's a subtlety of the first film that's lost, and it gets a lot heavier into. And I get it. It's because the magical realms. He just learned about magic in the first movie. As he progresses forward, he's becoming a wizard. He's using more magic, but there's a subtlety in the character development that all of the subsequent films rely on you having seen the film previous for you to be able to engage with the characters properly, right? The first film, it's trying to cast a wide net, get everybody, and I think there's a little bit of that lost with each film. And I know that when you're doing a series, you're kind of hoping very similar to Marvel. With every Marvel movie, they don't try and reestablish all the characters. But the way that they go about doing it in the Harry Potter films, the way they go about, pushing all the narratives, like you have to see all of the films in order to get it. You know what I mean? Like you to understand like the back and forth between all the characters. If you watch other like series like with Marvel and what they did throughout their series, and I'll talk about Marvel in another little rant that I do, you can jump in at any point and just enjoy it for what it is because it's comic book stuff and there's like punchy explosions, crazy alien CGI. With Harry Potter, it's not something you can just jump into any film with. So if you just jump into Goblet of Fire, you're going to be thrown like there's talking about Quidditch, you're talking about Triwizard tournaments and all these other things. People will be like, okay, yeah, I mean you're throwing a lot of words around there, but like I don't, sure. And then like as they're going around the castle, you're like, sure, yes, everything you're saying, I'm just gonna have to believe is something that's possible because magic and sure. But like if you've seen the movies before, you're like, okay, that's the progression. Like you know the levels of wizards, like the power of certain spells and all that stuff, and it sort of makes it like it all connects. Okay. All of this is to say, if you have seen Harry Potter, and I know that it's 2021 currently, like while I'm filming this, and COVID is still a thing, people are still in varying degrees of lockdown, but once things are at a point where people are going out more, I would highly suggest anyone who loves the Harry Potter franchise to make it a trip to go to Harry Potter World, specifically because they have two worlds or two lands that kind of connect to each other by a train. It's great. I'd suggest it to anyone. It's just an experience, and go if you're gonna go with people that want to go. Don't go with people where like they want a vacation. Like go with people that want to like live out their childhood and like, yeah, I'm gonna get. I mean, you'll have to get dressed up, but like, yeah, I'm gonna get into it and I'm gonna drink butterbeer and I'm gonna do all this. Go with people that are really gonna enjoy it. Because if you go with people that are just gonna be like the whole time, oh, I can't believe we're here. This is so childish. It's gonna ruin the experience for you. It's not gonna be great. It's just like if you go to Disney World. If you go to Disney World with a bunch of people that are like, oh, my feet are tired. It's just gonna be another theme park. But if you go to Harry Potter World, here are my suggestions, and this ties into the film. But here are my suggestions. Go to Harry Potter World and take the experience as if you are just being brought into the world of Harry Potter. Right? And it's pretty obvious, like, oh, like you're going into the world of Harry Potter. But what I'm saying is, think about it as if you're Harry going into the world of Harry Potter and walk into the park with that thought process. Because the way that they, like, use depth perception and the rides and, how all of the people that are, like, employed at the park act while you're walking around, it's great. It's a very, like, immersive experience. So if you go into it like, oh, this is my first foray into the the wizarding world, it's an experience. I would suggest it for anyone who likes the franchise. So that's it. I just want to talk about Harry Potter. I'm going to talk about some of the movies later. I'll probably sum them up, and I don't know if I'd react to them again. This is going to be during the week that I am doing at least one reaction, and sorry to get a copyright thing. So depending on how that goes, we'll see if I'll be doing more and doing like clips and stuff. If not, again, if you guys want to see the reactions, I'm more than likely going to have to do it on Patreon if YouTube doesn't want me to do it. So just let me know if that's something you're interested in. Comment down below. Let me say something. Be like, yeah, I'd love to see that. Make a Patreon. Well, I have a Patreon, but put it up on Patreon. I'd love to watch you talking about Harry Potter because you say weird things and that'd be interesting during Harry Potter. Sure, why not?